So the short and long plantar ligaments run from the calcaneus to either the cuboid or the second or third, fourth, and fifth metatarsals. They are deep to the plantar fascia, which is why they are not palpable. I mean, as far as like what they're required for on your thing, they're not one of your starred ones. But they're important because they are the main supporters of the lateral longitudinal arch. That's their job. The short and long plantar ligaments are the support system for the lateral longitudinal arch. On the medial side, you have the spring ligament, or it's also called the plantar calcaneonavicular ligament. Supports the medial longitudinal arch. Probably the main ligamentous supports of the medial longitudinal arch. And very important in the push-off of walking, sprinting, running, all of that. That spring ligament, that's why it's called a spring ligament, because it causes the spring when you push off with your toe.
Is that the one like runners that'll cramp up and they can break these bones
if you injure this ligament and you're a competitive athlete, it's probably career ending. That's how significant this ligament can be. It's a very devastating injury and very difficult to heal. So yeah, it's the bad news if you injure this ligament. So big supporter, probably main supporter of the medial longitudinal arch. And then you have your, this is where I might drop, your plantar fascia. Starts down. That's that's the culprit of plantar fasciitis. So it attaches down here on this calcaneal tubercle. And it goes up here. And the medial side of it you can see pretty easily. And then it goes to each one of the toes. Kind of looks like that. It's just going to get marker all over the floor when she stands up. It'll be right. The plantar fascia is what creates the natural position of the foot, kind of like the palmar fascia. Plantar fascia is the same thing. Except the plantar fascia has one more really important job, and it's called the windlass mechanism. W-I-N-D-L-A-S-S, I think. Windlass, yeah. And basically what it does, along with the spring ligament and the short and long plantar ligaments, is it creates that tension to allow you to push off your big toe. So when you hit the ground, so this is my heel and these are my toes, and you heel strike with gait, and then you come off the side of your foot and you roll over and you spring, the kinetic energy in this plantar fascia is what causes the toe to be able to push off. So it's almost like a support structure, like a spring, where it has some tightness to it so that naturally if your foot's at rest, it's like this. But if I need to flatten out and push off, it gives me power to do that. Does that make sense? Now, if you have a plantar fascia that's too tight or a plantar fascia that's too stretched, meaning you have like super, super high arches or really, really flat feet, pes planus, pes cavus. Do you guys know those terms? Mm-hmm. Pes planus is flat-footed. Means your medial longitudinal arch is flat. Your navicular is pretty much touching the ground. That's pes planus. Pes cavus is high arched. So more than natural here. In either case, your plantar fascia isn't at its optimal length. So it can be super, super tight if you have a super high arch, or it can get flattened out. If you've seen people that have super flat feet, when they go to step, it's just like their whole foot just splays out. Mm-hmm. That's pes planus. And that puts a tremendous stress on the plantar fascia. So you can get plantar fasciitis, inflammation of your plantar fascia, either way. So people are like, oh, it's because you have high arches. Not necessarily. People can get plantar fasciitis when they have no arch. Because it stretches it out, and it doesn't like that.
Is that why you get like pain?
Uh-huh. And the classic sign of plantar fasciitis is pain with the first step in the morning. Because when you're relaxed, your foot does this, and then you take that first step and it stretches everything out. It's like, ah! So people that have plantar fasciitis, red flag, like you know it's plantar fasciitis if they go, man, my pain is the worst first thing in the morning when I get out of bed. Because the plantar fascia has time to kind of retract. Think of it being springy. It's been rested, so it retracts, and then you go to step down and you try to stretch it out, and it doesn't want to go. And it's very, very painful. That's also why the treatment for plantar fasciitis a lot of times is to put people in night splints and make them wear something that stretches their plantar fascia while they're sleeping to not let it retract back like that. Okay? So the windlass mechanism is the normal springing action of the plantar fascia and the supported ligaments to allow you to push off of your toe. When that malfunctions somehow, either from plantar fascia being too tight or too stretched or alignment issues or whatever the case may be, that can lead to issues and things like plantar fasciitis. Okay?
After you're born flat-footed, does your body learn to kind of deal with it? And
Yeah, but usually what happens is you don't have foot and ankle issues, you have knee, hip, and back issues because you don't have the structure from your foot to deal with the shock the way it's supposed to, and so it gets transferred up differently. So yeah, most people don't have neutral arches. I learned this as being a runner and getting running shoes. And if you go to a good store like Fitness that has good running shoes and people that know what they're talking about with shoes, very few people have a very neutral foot. It's very rare, and I happen to be one of those people. My foot is so neutral, like I'm just an oddball. Like to find good shoes for me is actually pretty easy because I can wear any shoe because my foot is very neutral. Most people either have a supinated foot, means they have a little bit more of an arch, or a pronated foot, meaning they're flat. And so pronated feet usually need support because they're too flat. Supinated feet need cushion because they don't give. They're too rigid. So running shoes make billions of dollars in getting the right shoes on the right type of foot. They don't make any money off me because I can pull a shoe off the shelf in Sports Authority and it'll work because I have such a neutral foot. I'm not supinated or pronated, I'm just average. Which is really not average, I'm really odd because most people don't have very neutral feet. They either lean one way or the other. Okay, questions on, so the palpable ones, plantar fascia, and then collateral ligaments of the toes, just like collateral ligaments of the fingers. They prevent varus and valgus forces to the toes. They're just much smaller. Okay? So if you're palpating the IP joints of the toes, you're on the little baby collateral ligaments. Okay? Questions. So the two palpable ones are the collateral ligaments of the toes, so if you're on the edge of the IP joints, and the plantar fascia, which you can pretty much palpate the whole thing. But keep in mind, spring ligaments over here, and then short and long plantar ligaments are over here. They support the medial longitudinal arch and lateral longitudinal arch, respectively. Okay? Questions?